Hello crafty friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we are creating a very clean and simple card design featuring a beautiful wavy background and a minimal floral die cut as the main focal point. I'll be using one of my favorite techniques, that is cutting the die cut pieces from white cardstock and bringing them live with some vibrant ink blending. Before we jump in, I'd really appreciate if you could take a minute to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icons so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Let's dive into the products I'll be using today. So first up, I've got this very fun wavy background stamp by Simon's Stamp. It features a repeating pattern of smooth flowing curves that look a bit like squished rainbows or groovy waves. I love how bold and rhythmic this design is. It adds a great sense of movement and a subtle retro vibe to your backgrounds. It's perfect if you're going for a playful, modern, or even an abstract cut style. The stamp is also great for inking and coloring techniques, and it really helps create eye catching effects that make your card backgrounds pop. Next up, let's talk about the focal point of our card, for which I'll be using the Exotic Blooms die, which adds a beautiful touch of tropical elegance to our card front. This die features two leafy stems, each forming a single flared cup shaped blossom. The prominent stamens really stand out and give the flowers some striking detail, making them a perfect focal point for any card design. Alright, so let's get started with our background. I'm beginning by stamping this beautiful design onto an A2 size card panel. To make things easier, I'm using my new Altenew Stamp Wheel, which holds the cardstock securely in place. What I love about this tool is that it gives me enough room to stamp a full 6 by 6 inch background without worrying about the panel shifting around. For the color, I decided to go with a soft neutral tone. I'm using my Simon's Stamp Positively Saturated ink in the shade Latte. It allows a lovely light brown that creates a gentle baby soft background. I only stamped it once as I didn't want too much intensity or saturation on my background. The idea here is to keep the background subtle, just a hint of color, so that all of the attention stays on my focal point and the sentiment, which I will be stamping beside my focal point later on at the end. Now that our background is all done, let's move on to the focal point of the card. Off camera, I went ahead and die cut the exotic blooms using white cardstock. I used a 110-pound cardstock for this, especially because the stems on this floral arrangement are quite delicate. A heavier weight cardstock really helps keep everything sturdy and in place. Now, you could absolutely use colored cardstock for these little pieces, but I personally prefer starting with white. That way, I can customize the colors exactly how I wanted during the ink blending process. And honestly, I didn't even know I'd be using blue on my flowers until I reached this step. If I had a die cut from colored cardstock, I'd be locked into that color. So white gives me flexibility to go with the flow. Let me know in the comments below, what kind of crafter are you? Do you plan every detail before you start, or you just create as you go? I'm definitely the second type. I don't plan much, I just dive in. So, having everything cut from white cardstock makes the process so much more easier for me. To add color, I placed all of those tiny little pieces onto my Simon's Stamp sticky mat. It holds them in place perfectly while I ink blend using the positively saturated inks. Now, since these are super delicate and tiny, I'm using my mini ink blending brushes by Cat Scrappiness. They give me great control and even coverage, especially for those little details. If you look closely, you'll notice I didn't color the entire petal blue. I left the edges white to create a soft gradient. These brushes are perfect for that subtle blended look. Let's talk about the colors I used for the flowers and leaves. For my flowers, I started with Cadet. It's such a beautiful and vibrant blue. Well, to add some depth and dimension to the center of each petal, I blended in a bit of Royal, which is the darker shade in the same ink trio. This gave the petals a very nice gradient and made them pop. I used a similar approach for my leaves. I blended two shades of green, pine and Asian, to give them a soft yet dynamic look. Then, to really make the stems and the base of the leaves more dramatic, I added a touch of woodsy, which is a dark brown shade. A little extra shading adds so much character to these beautiful flowers. And finally, for the stamens in the center of the flowers, I went with my all time favorite yellow, which is citrine. It is such a bold, cheerful shade, and it really brings everything together. Now it's time to start assembling the floral elements. Using my Barely Art liquid glue, I went ahead and adhered the petals and the stamen together. I'm leaving the stems off for now because I wanted to finalize the placement of the entire floral arrangement on my card front before committing to that step. To do that, I bought back my Wavy background panel and started playing around with the layout just to see how I can best position the flowers while making sure I leave enough space for my sentiment as well. Now, for this design, you could totally go with a die cut sentiment or even a sentiment strip, and that would look absolutely beautiful. But I decided to stamp my sentiment directly onto the background to keep the look very clean and cohesive. Once I was happy with the placement of everything, I went ahead and adhered the stems to the flower. Then, using more of that liquid glue, I attached the entire floral assembly onto the card front, creating this elegant and eye catching focal point. Here you'll see me using my reverse tweezers by Cat Scrappiness, and let me tell you, these are one of my top 5 must have crafty tools. I use them all the time, especially when I am working with tiny die cut pieces, small embellishments, or anything delicate that needs precise placement. They make the whole process so much more easier and accurate. What I love the most about the reverse tweezers are the comfortable grip. It's really easy on my hands even during longer crafting sessions. And the size of this is just perfect. It fits really nicely in my hand without feeling bulky or awkward. If you don't have a pair of these yet, I highly recommend adding them to your crafty stash. For me, it's an absolute 10 on 10. It's time for the final step, that is adding the sentiment. I'm bringing back my card panel into my stamp wheel. For the sentiment, I chose this beautiful quote from the Sunflower Garden stamp set by Simon Says Stamp, which says, "May your day be as beautiful as a field of white flowers." I thought it paired perfectly with the clean and simple design of our card, and it complements the floral focal point so nicely. It adds a warm, uplifting touch to finish off the entire card absolutely beautifully. And that's a wrap. Here's a look at our finished card. Isn't it amazing how simple this design is, yet so striking? Even with a full wavy background, it never overpowers our focal point. It actually enhances the overall look and keeps everything so cohesive. This subtle stamp pattern really ties in all the elements together, and paired with our sweet sentiment, this card works for so many different occasions: birthdays, thinking of you cards, or just a friendly hello. I hope today's video inspired you to try a clean and simple design with a bold background and a colorful focal point. All the supplies that I used to create this card will be linked down in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.